Great endgame content. We'll just kind of put that there. Not greater riffs. It's a great start. No, it's true. It's true. I agree with that. So examples from times prior that you've experienced. Hard to get stuff. Can we expand on that? Is that like unique to the endgame boss? Or is this something that's like just hard, you know, good, rare, / legendary / mythic item grinds, right? Or both, you know? We're just going to gather some feedback from chat, and then we'll mix it together. You already posted your feedback on a different Paragon system. What sort of thing do you think? Let me look in the Discord. Where did you post it? What happened to my Discord? Why is all my channels... What just happened? All my channels just like blanked out. That's weird. No endless item progress. Yeah, so like I think diminishing returns is a great way. Can't we get it? And then that kind of goes along with not an infinite grind / infinite scaling. PvP. I think that is very good end game content. Challenges for the player. Like, expand on challenges for the player. Borrowing PoE idea that we can craft to add on. Yeah, so I think like the key dungeons is definitely a good idea, but I think that we want to expand on that a little bit, in my opinion. Torch runs are an equivalent special and endgame achievements. That kind of goes up there with the like unique to endgame boss, hard to get stuff, or just hard to run. Depends how long the seasons are. That's true. I think champions could evolve into something different. Like the hero that you're using, like my paladin evolves to Akarad's champion. But then, like, what happens with an evolved champion? Right? I guess that's my question. What happens there? I like having goals to work towards the PoE mapping system. That's why I don't like D2 endgame. What am I going to do? Kill Bale harder? Yeah, that's exactly what you're going to do. I guess mapping system and key dungeons kind of go hand in hand, but they're a little bit different. Let's see. Want charms back. We'll flesh these out a little bit. I'm just trying to gather some stuff from chat, and then we can like talk through, and I'll ask questions to you guys on what you think is like good feedback. Here, I'm gonna let me add a chat window here. That way you guys can watch yourself. There you go. Quest to get items to assemble. So you think like a multi-part quest to assemble ultimate items or something like that. Boss actually feel difficult. Yeah. Challenges sound good, something like D2 Uber bosses, but with a few more steps, since all D2 Ubers are available. It's the only final thing. I mean, that is true. What would make the game really good? Difficulty goes Inferno from the start, and it's only hardcore. Yeah, obviously, like, itemization we've talked through and things like that. Puzzle dungeons? Like, you want to play, like, Legend of Zelda here? Just chasing items. I mean, I think that's always good. Reborn into a stronger base Nephilim. I think that goes into, like, evolved champions a little bit. I kind of like that idea a little bit, though. I want to expand on that one. Most things about colors. Looking at footage compared to Dark Souls D2, it's just not scary. Maybe in the 3D. Maybe. I mean, it can be scarier with more, like, corners you can't see around and stuff. I think that's how you get more fear thrown into it. Champions should have unique mechanics like holy damage for paladin, and then being Akarat's champion would just increase that. Does that not get too much into just the, like, power creep part of it, you know? That's a question. What about taking some things from the median mod? Think about Uber quests or whatever, but they could be timed events. So, like, many median XL style bosses, not purify. Something like that. Make all weapons be usable by all classes. Now you just want to play Path of Exile. Right? I definitely think you can have that sort of stuff without screwing stuff over. Thank you, Casper, so much. Appreciate that. Right. You can definitely mess stuff up if, like, there's just flat damage on things and that just exists and goes across, right? So if you're not keeping spell damage separate from, like, weapon damage, then you can run into issues. But I like the idea in general, though. Leaderboards within game. Ooh, leaderboards is really good. Doesn't Reborn just go into infinite scaling? Not if Reborn's not actually scaling your hero's damage, which I think is something that we can talk through. About tokens. If you don't get a drop, you get part of a token. When you collect X, you have a chance to get Y gear, so you feel like there's progression. Legit drops might have better stats, but the tokens will get you going. Some sort of just token system rewarding you for moving in some direction. It's something there. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's not terrible. We can like look at tokens. Let's just gather some ideas. Increase speed of threats encountered. What? You need X number of players to enter and beat dungeons or quests. Well, I think they want to make sure that you can do stuff solo, and I kind of agree with that. I'm definitely on, like, the train of allow for, you know, people to kind of solo self-on their own stuff. Brother Laz, screw that. Corruption, like in POD. I love corruption, but corrupting and Val Orbs, I think, are a separate discussion from Endgame, right? I think that's just, like, crafting, which needs its own thing. I do want to play Path of Exile, but fixing the power creep. I mean, yeah. There's a couple other things I could change. What do you think about bringing back losing experience on death? I love it. There needs to be some punishment. You would love for it to not require the internet? Yeah, I think it's just going to be that. MFing the endgame for your next build would be cool if each class had more than one go-to build. I definitely think that's a part of endgame. Like, that's a piece that gets solved previously that a lot of people don't think about. Yeah, I really hope they don't do increasing a stash and MTX. Like, if you're selling me this game for $60, don't give me a half-baked stash and make me buy more stash tabs. That's pretty trash, dude. You know? If I'm getting this free to play, free to try, and then, like, I'm buying... Sure. Even I'm not even a huge fan of that, but, like, you can at least kind of argue it. All Diablo series boss run. Andy Durda said that's really, really hard and requires the best of the best items. So you're saying just, like, stack all the bosses in a row? Ooh, you know, that could actually be a really interesting idea where it's just, like, all bosses in a row, like, no towning. / potions beyond X start amount. We'll just do like beyond X. That sounds really cool. The all bosses challenge. And you maybe just go as many times as you can or something. Something that's pretty fun. Hard dungeons. Man, you guys have so many good ideas. I can't even like keep up. Make the classes different. Yeah, no, I'm more on that for sure. PvP leaderboards with events that give item rewards for certain rankings. So maybe a PvE and PvP. And you have to like fight other people within a certain rank of you. And you have to fight at least like, you know, X times a week or something to keep your rank. That could be kind of cool. How much feedback do you think the D4 devs listen to? I mean, I hope a lot. They've asked for feedback from us. So, you know, between myself, Riker, Quinn, and Bloodshed, and, you know, all the guys, Leviathan, like, and then just the community in general posting, I would be imagining why that they're listening. And if they're not, then, you know, shame. Like, that's just going to be a shame because they are getting the communal feedback. You know, that's definitely one thing that I love about this community. People in this community love Diablo. They love the lore. They love the game. They love, you know, they love just Diablo so much. And, you know, they are willing to write out massive forum posts and make long videos and everything and anything to try and make this game as good as they can make it. So PvP events that give special items as rewards. Ooh, let's do like PvP with rewards ? Something like that. You know, that sort of stuff is really good. Okay, let's see what else. Daily quest. You want to do dailies? I don't know if I like dailies, but we'll put it because it is something there, and we'll have chat kind of vote on these things a little bit. Yeah, boss gauntlet, exactly. Maybe that's the better name for it. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, so I'm gonna formulate my own. Like the communities plus my own into some like potential and into a video that I'll release tomorrow for all of that. Daily events, not daily quest. You like it as events. Crafting, kind of think the current runner system can be fun. Well, they can put details runner system as crafter, and you can find some unique crafting parts. You can bind cube, just crafting special items. So you like the one of the cause and effect runewords a little bit? I feel like it's just so casual in the current implementation. Like it would really need to do more stuff. Let's see. Bosses with many phases. That might be a bit too much Final Fantasy for me. Did they say anything about having different difficulties? I don't think they did. Boss horde mode. 5% increased drop rate of higher gear. Something like that. Yeah, I think PvP, there's a lot to be done with like PvP, like Battle Royale, Dota, whatever, you know, King of the Hill, etc. I think there's a lot to be done there. Man, what if Endgame starts at level 1 because if you create something different for Endgame, then everything you did before it's useless, and that's when the game is only about Endgame? I don't think that's always the case. I just think you have to make sure that the experience to get to that point is worthwhile still. Like, the game shouldn't start at Endgame sort of thing. You know, make sure that there's decisions and stuff that you do along the way that matters as well. Looks like people are hating on dailies, so dailies might go away. I like to see some kind of skull system like Halo where you can choose to make the game harder for new characters, softcore or hardcore. So what you're saying, you get like a skull. Thank you so much, Mudstone, with the gifted sub. You're saying you get a skull and then you use to make harder, you know, like for your next character harder, something like that. Do we believe Diablo will ever not be infinite grinding? Isn't that all Diablo games? The problem isn't infinite grinding. The problem is when it's infinite scaling grinding, infinite power grinding. That's when it's the problem, right? You get on the treadmill and there's always a next whatever, right? There's no end. There's no whatever piece. Holding the best drops, like do something that brings back to old addicts. Yeah, I like that too. Getting to max level should honestly be an optional part of the end game. I'm personally not a fan of end game exactly being get to level 40 and then start end game. For me, it's like beat the final boss, then you are at end game and it opens up and you don't have to have a level associated with that exactly. Oh man, all right, I really got to catch up. So let me like zip through some things here. Buffs and part of that stats for everyone in party. Making different classes have different buffs. Could be something like increased party overall. Survival mode, that'd be fun. Rating, is that too much like an MMO? Secret rare portal to cow level. Well, we all want the cow level. All right, I feel like we've gotten through a lot of good ideas, so I'm just gonna scoot down to the bottom here and catch up with chat. Bring back cryptic puzzle elements. That would actually be really fun. What about just like, yeah, cryptic puzzle elements. All right. And we're caught up. Perfect. All right, so let's go through each of these. And I just want you in chat, if you like an idea, just put a 1. If you don't like an idea, just put a 2. All right? Don't put numbers yet. So I'll say an idea and just put a 1 or a 2 when we go through that. So we can just kind of go through each of these. And it's all right if you like every single thing on this list. It's okay if you hate everything on this list, right? And 0 if you're indifferent, maybe. 0 equals indifferent. 1 equals I like it. 2 equals I don't like it. How's that? Okay. So let's start at the top. Hard to get stuff. Unique to endgame bosses. Let's start with that. So you're killing an endgame boss that, shaper or whatever it is. All right. That seems to be mostly a 1. We're just gonna give a 1 there. All right, we'll call it there. We'll cut it with the numbers. All right. Next one. Hard to get stuff. Good, rare, legendary, mythic item grinds. This is just general items, right? Just hard to get items like Mang Song's Lesson, Tyrael's Might, and obviously better ones as well. All right. So I feel like those are pretty expected. People like grinding for hard to get items. It's good. Include white and blue items inside of that. Yeah, I mean, that's also good bases and blues. That's the entire thing. All right. Before I say rune words, I'll explain rune words in some sort of capacity, I suppose, here. What do we think? Because, like, Diablo 2 rune words get a little bit nutty in some of those cases. But if we want, like, end game content, what are we thinking? What are we thinking there? Are we talking like D2 rune words? Are we talking like the current D4 rune word? You like the new rune system? Yeah, this is a vague one. So let's do like this. D2 rune words minus top tier, grief, enigma, etc. And then let's do current D4 implementation. And the current D4 implementation is going to be cause and effect runes. So I can put a rune, I can make different combinations of runes. One says whenever I drink a health potion, then I get, an additional 50% attack for the next 5 seconds, right? That's a cause and effect. You can mix and match them and whatever. So let's just go D2 rune words in their current state. Do you like those in the current state, 1 or 2? This one seems more in the 2s. Okay. There's like a mixture. So I'm going to give it like a 1.75. I think it's leaning heavy towards the 2 though. And a lot of indifference as well, which doesn't really help for the scaling of it, but we'll say, I'd almost go to 2 there. We'll put a 2 on it. All right. Now, cut it. Next one, D2 rune words minus top tier rune words. So we're getting rid of grief, we're getting rid of enigma, we're getting rid of fortitude, we're getting rid of the higher end ones. Definitely more 2s still in there, but there is 1s. This one looks more like a 1.5. This looks more split. Now there's a lot of 2s rolling in. This one I'd almost say is 1.75. Better than the other options, but could be better. All right, so the community, not a huge fan of the rune words overall. Totally fine. Current D4 implementation. 1 or 2. Let's go. Current D4 implementation. Cause and effect.
Fresh meat.
All right, nobody likes that one. That's like a 2.5 so far away. Goodbye, my cat. Thank you. Too early to judge. I think it is too early to judge. But a lot of people aren't like that. No spamming, Camel. All right. We can get away from that. Rune words, obviously I think there's more to be said in terms of rune words and late game content, and that's kind of a vague one here, but we were just writing all the ideas down, so it's okay. How about both? What do you mean, how about both? Oh, like both of these together? Like they're cause and effect, but they also can make an overall rune word? All right, both. Vote for both. 1 or 2. That seems, honestly, more overall positive. So just more utility for runes. I feel like this is like a 1.25. Maybe like a 1.20. There's definitely some people uncertain of that. But that's an interesting idea. It definitely gives you more utility, which, I think is a good thing. All right. More and better variety. That's fair. I want D2 before LOD, where blue items are crazy good, but it's hard to come by. Yeah, that's also really fun with all the rares and blues you get in like classic. Okay, diminishing returns. So before we vote on it, let's flesh out diminishing returns a little bit more. Diminishing returns means that you are going to have a cap on your character's strength, essentially, in pretty much every regard, right? So you aren't just going to be able to add another 1,000%, 10,000%, whatever it is, right? It's like you can start off and your basic gear is going to put you at like, let's say that my hammered in does 11k damage at my basic gear. And then my very top tier gear might be like 16,000, 17,000 damage. So it's not you're not power spiking a lot. Like everything you're incrementally adding is just a little bit better, right? So you have kind of these like small returns, exponential decay, whatever. It's just a small. It prevents. It's the opposite of infinite scaling, right? This is a prevention of that, and just it's this, right? So it's easy to get to earlier points in your damage and stuff, and then as you get higher up, it gets harder and harder and harder to get really stronger. You're just gonna get smaller bits stronger. So ones or zeros there. Let's go. See, I'm mostly one. Slimo's a 2. There's a couple 2s in there. I feel like that's mostly a 1 though. So that goes right in line with slash not. We'll just put them infinite grind, infinite scaling. Let's actually do the reverse and see, because that's actually a little different in the other way. Infinite grind and infinite scaling, aka something like greater rifts. 1 or 2. Yeah. Basically the greater rift system where you're going to be doing constantly, it's harder and you get more powerful, and you do the next one and you get more powerful and the next one. All right. I don't think we need much more voting on that. Seems like community's mostly in agreement there. I think we'll hold off on this PvP because we have better PvPs down below. Thank you so much, Camel. 2. Key dungeons. So we don't have a full amount of information with key dungeons, but essentially it's like a Path of Exile map. Anybody who's played Path of Exile, you know what maps are like. You have hundreds of dungeons around, and then you find keys as you're playing the game. You use those keys on the dungeons, right? And you make the dungeon harder. Now, this could be used with or without an infinite scaling metric, right? You can make it so it keeps getting harder, keeps getting harder, keeps getting harder, or you can make it so your character's only going to get so strong, you could basically lock yourself out of a dungeon if you go too crazy with it, right? So we're just saying the concept of a key dungeon itself, where you can have a map that you can run, tons of them, and then make them more difficult. 1s or 2s? Let's vote. Let's vote. 1s or 2s on a key dungeon. That seems very down the middle. I'm almost a 1.5 on how we're getting the votes in. Seems very 1.5 there. Interesting how mixed people are with that. An evolved. Okay, yeah. So we'll cut, and then we'll do an evolved champion, and I'll explain my take on an evolved champion. So I play through the game. I beat all of the bosses. I beat all of the Ubers. I framed it kind of negatively. I was trying to give like, we don't know how they're gonna go in the way of it. I guess there could be different ways, but we could use straw poll, but then we got to do it for like every single one. It's easier to just go 1s and 2s. I feel like we're getting a pretty good eyeball of it all. So evolved champion would be like you take your character, you beat all of the content, and you beat all of these Uber bosses, or you collect certain pieces, whatever it is. And once you've done that, you can evolve your character into some sort of stronger character, right? Like a paladin that becomes whatever that guy said, a Kayan's something. Yeah, you can basically like ascend at that point or something into someone stronger. So this is like Endgame. Yeah, it's Goku style. Could unlock additional skills. It could just be stronger stat bases. It could be whatever. I don't know how many times you do it. I'm just thinking some sort of evolving metric where your champion can get better after you've beaten the game. So it's different from PoE Ascendancy because that is more happens along the way. This is literally at the very end of the game. Right. So 1 or 2 for Evolve Champion starting now. Okay. That feels pretty even with a slight lean towards 2s. Let's give it like a 1.6. I think there's definitely a lot that could be done with an evolved champion, so it's hard to fully vote on that. I understand. PoE mapping system. I guess that's already keyed dungeons, but we'll just say it straight up. The PoE mapping system. Let's just go straight on it. Do you like the PoE mapping system, 1 or 2? Wow. That feels like a lot of 2s, doesn't it? If you don't have PoE, then you're a 0, yeah. That's like a 1.75. If I want that, I'll go play PoE. That's totally fair. We're kind of talking like, do we think it's good endgame content? If you don't know it, just put a 0. That's fine. All right. Multi-part quest to assemble some sort of ultimate item. 1 or 2, ready, go. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. All right. That one seems like a 1.1. Seems like a lot of like for that one. Okay, let's cut there. How about being reborn into a stronger base Nephilim? So your character gets converted back to level 1, but gets a little bit stronger base. That's some pretty hard nose over there. Wow. Wow, that is some hard nose. I'm actually surprised. Nephilim were too strong in the lore. Somebody just listened to Riker's lore. Sounds too grindy. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Many median XL style bosses. So just having like 30 or 40 different boss fights. 1 or 2, ready, go. Yeah, who doesn't like boss fights, right? Yeah, I feel like that one's a lot of indifference. I'm surprised how many 0s we have in that one. But if it's not a 0, it's mostly 1s. Yeah, good boss fights are fun. Everybody likes that. I'm not saying have the immune to all damage ones, though. Those were stupid. But beyond that. All right, let's separate this one out into PvP. All right, PvP leaderboards. Where you get some sort of PvP, you know, a leaderboard, and as you fight people, you can go up or down on the rankings. Whatever it is. Tons of 0s in there. That seems like a mixed bag. It seems like there's some people that are super into it, and then some people that don't care as much. I'm going to say that's like a 1.35. I'm surprised how many people don't like a PvP leaderboard. I'd be curious to hear why. What you don't like about that. Rigged. What's up with the rune words? This is just like endgame content. I feel like it. Too much room for hacking. You just like leaderboards in general. That's fair. It'll be unbalanced. Wouldn't want PvP. Don't care. I mean, that's fine. Sounds like a lot of people just ruins the fun of PvP. I could also see that happening if you're very upset about that. Okay, now a PvE leaderboard, whether that in whatever instance that it exists, 1 or 2. Also a pretty big mix. I feel like we're almost like a 1.35 on that one as well. I feel like both the leaderboards actually are surprisingly similar. Let me take tokens out there. All right. How can there be a PvE leaderboard if you don't do Greater Rift style? I mean, so like, let's see. You could have how many times, how many dungeons people have cleared at certain difficulties or something. That could be a leaderboard. You can do level leaderboards, obviously. Like if I'm thinking like top of my head, like a cool thing, let's pretend like dungeons can go up to level 10, right? You can add up to 10 affixes on a dungeon, and a level 10 dungeon is extremely difficult. Okay. And let's pretend there's 100 dungeons around the map. So you have the potential to clear 1,000 dungeon like points or whatever, right? Every time you clear a dungeon at a difficulty, you get a point. Once it's been cleared at that difficulty, you can keep clearing it. You won't get another point. So the whole point would be beat as many dungeons in as many ranks of them as you can or something. So that way you're, and then there's like a leaderboard for how many people have killed how many dungeons. You could also do leaderboards for ranks on timing of stuff. Fastest boss kill. Fastest whatever. Right? Fastest dungeon clear. I think a good purpose would be having multiple leaderboards or multiple like pieces, right? I think no matter what happens, having a variety of endgame content is going to be one of the most important things that you can do. Because if there's 10 different things, then I can focus on doing dungeon grinds. You can focus on doing fastest boss clear. You can focus on going the furthest into the boss, dungeon, whatever, right? It gives you multiple layers where you can like be the best. You can compete, whatever it is, instead of the leaderboards just being Greater Rift and that's it or something, right? So impression on D4 on my YouTube channel. Yeah, if you go to my YouTube channel, !YouTube, you can see all that stuff. Speedrun leaderboard in game. I mean, honestly, like it would be cool to have more speedrun support. Like, what if Blizzard hosted races like Path of Exile has kind of done in the past? Right? That would be sick. I would love that. That's not really endgame content, but that would be sick. One, leaderboards are filled by bots and cheats usually. I mean, it's gonna happen, but like I've also watched many streamers beating top ranks on leaderboards as well. So, it's not impossible to get on them. But, you know, like, yeah, there are cheaters. All right. What do you think about like a boss gauntlet where you just are fighting every boss in a row and there's something like no going to town, no potion, or you get limited potions. Everybody starts with the same thing and you're just like going through as many bosses as you can. 1 or 2. Let's see it. That seems pretty onesie to me. It's like a 1.1. I like that. All right. I think that's a cool one. Oh, that's kind of cool, Bruce. If there was a world event where like all these bosses invade the world and people just team up to take them all out, that's kind of cool. That could be a cool every week or every month or something event. We would kill all the camels. That's what we do, camel. Okay. PvP with rewards. 1 or 2? Seems mostly negative. I'll give it like a 1.9. My chat is very anti-PvP. PvP with rewards is very different from just a generic PvP. And I think people want PvP overall. Only the rewards for PvP. So it's like an item that's restricted to being used in PvP. Seems kind of... Oh, you want like cosmetic rewards? All right, we can do PvP. Well, ears aren't like rewards with cosmetic rewards. All right, PvP with cosmetic rewards. 1 or 2? Go. Remember, 1 is I like it, 2 is I do not like it. Still a okay number of 2s in there. I feel like that's back around that like 1.3 style. 0.35. Okay. Dailies. Do I need to ask about dailies, or is that... I'm pretty sure dailies are just 2'd. Straight down for the most part. Okay. I guess dailies and daily events. He was trying to clarify, but I didn't really see what he meant by daily events. Maybe just like a boss joins
God, no.
the realm.
Dear God, no. No, why? Dear God, no, why?
Thanks, Toby. Daily event is different. Okay, so we'll do dailies is a no. We'll put that up above. And then daily events. All right. So a daily event or some daily events like Diablo walks the earth or, you know, world events or whatever things happen on that stuff, right? All right. People seem to like that more. It's around like a 1.2. Okay. All right, we'll cut there. PvP, and then introducing like various PvP modes. So this is having a King of the Hill PvP mode, a Battle Royale PvP mode, a Dota PvP mode. Doesn't have to be the exact modes, but, you know, having multi-moded PvP that you can enter your character in or whatever. Team PvP, 4-on-4, whatever, right? That seems to be getting pretty good response. I think that's like a 1.2 as well. Okay. Next one. Finding a skull such as in Halo, that you can use to make the next character have a harder time through the game. Increase difficulty for yourself and boss difficulty by finding like a skull or something that you can use, or getting it at an endgame boss. It's kind of an interesting idea. That seems like a 1.5. Maybe like a 1.6. Yeah, it's like a self-curse. What's the point of it? Just to make the game harder for yourself. Isn't that just general difficulties? It's just like if you want to play a harder version of the game. That's all. Doesn't seem like it's hugely popular. All right, and the last one is cryptic puzzle elements. So I'll explain this one first before we vote a little bit. Cryptic puzzle elements is going to be things that are server side that we don't know. So like puzzles built into a long term of the game, kind of, that we'll have to kind of figure out as we're playing. I think over to just like if there's, maybe I think back to when I was younger and I'd play like Tony Hawk Pro Skater or whatever it is, and there'd be like secret tapes hidden around and secret levels that you could unlock and whatever. And so the community overall as a whole would have to figure these things out, right? So vote on that, 1 or 2. That seems to be getting a ton of ones. It would be solved in a day. Well, they could make it really difficult. Obviously, hidden level is not that hard to overall come up with. But you can make a very difficult puzzle if you would like. So just a cool thing. All right. That is that is nice. That's a good list of stuff. So, kind of sucks that just in this like text pad, I kind of want to like write them out and sort them a little bit better. But we can come up with a system a little bit. Because like I said, I'm trying to gather community feedback, gather my community's feedback, and have like end game suggestions and thoughts and that sort of stuff. So this is helpful. How do I feel about some builds being gated behind and hard to do / obtain expensive item? I mean, I think that's always just going to happen. You're going to have different builds that have different item requirements. Quinn said I was heavy to D2 bias. I mean, it's probably true. I myself say that I have probably a heavy D2 bias. But what you gonna do, right? Like, I love Diablo 2. It's a great game. But I'm trying to be open-minded. I'm trying to really think about different options and consider things like this right here, right? Diablo 2 endgame content is literally just going through and doing bail runs, and it is the loot gear search. You do have the Ubers for torch and that stuff, but for the most part, it is grinding for loot, which is great. But like Diablo 2 endgame content is getting stuff to make another character and play through the game. The whole game is really the experience, You really feel like daily events wouldn't be good? If you miss the event, you feel bad or you can't play that day. Anything like that's not good. Yeah, I feel like you would want to make daily content not something that is super like lockout, right? But you could just have One, it could be a weekly thing, so you can miss a day. Two, it could just be whatever. You know, it doesn't have to be anything that grows you stronger. You could just get like a bunch of cool crafting materials if you compete in the event or something, right? Simple as that. You could get an MTX that's kind of cool if you want. Whatever, right? So here's some ideas that I have based off the feedback. Did they say no to crafting? No, they said there'll be crafting. Here's the ideas that I'm kind of seeing from this. One, starting at the top, hard to get stuff. It was probably one of the most clear winners ever. Just having awesome bosses that can drop boss specific kind of items, and then so you can do Mephisto runs, do Bale runs, do whatever, but there's a chance, you know, Bale drops Bale's item of blah blah blah. I think that is a very standard, great way to have repeatable content. And then obviously the ability to find some sort of amazing rare item or something, right, is always super solid. So the fact that I can find, where's that druid pelt? Hold up. Oh my god, why is it so big? There you go. The fact that I could maybe find this item in Diablo 2 would be, it is like, this item will keep me going for, you know, keep me grinding this game for such a long time. The fact that I could maybe find this, which is like the most beautiful item to exist. You know, like, it's actually insane. I never expect to find this, but I did find a really solid item. Like, let me get my sorceress. We can go jump over really fast. Right? It's like, this is what I did find. 2 to druid, 10 faster hit recovery, 3 to tornado, 34 to life, 16 to light res. So like, that's like a slightly worse version obviously of what it is, but this is like a really good item. I was so excited when I found this right here. Like, super excited. I mean, because that is amazing. Plus, it has this, you know, the socket. I can put something into it to be even better there. But obviously, like, this, you know, it doesn't compete with like this item, right? No FCR. Pelts don't have FCR. Silly man. So, you know, being able to find that sort of stuff, I think, is super important in the game for Endgame. Surprised how many people weren't on about rune words, but it seemed like a lot of people were excited about having both. So I think just utility with runes was like a big desire there. Thank you, Havoc. Diminishing returns, everybody seemed all about that. I think that's going to be one of the most important things to exist in the game. Being able to always be chasing this item, but this item not making my power level go from, you know, doing 7k damage to doing 70k damage. It makes me go to doing 7.2k damage, or, you know, 7.1k damage and a little bit more life than I was getting before or something, right? Once again, still having that trade-off, still having all of that stuff. But it is not an exponential scaling, but a diminishing scaling, as this will be just a little bit better than the rare I might be using or the unique I was using or whatever. Not 1 million more damage, exactly. Hardcore Hell Werebear Druid speedrun. I feel like that normal was speedrun enough. Yo, Panactus, thank you for that T2 sub. Appreciate that. Not 35 result for gold. I know. Rip. Infinite grind. Infinite scaling. People seemed not about that at all. I think that is one of the... in theory, it sounds like a great idea almost. Hey, musical. Right? Like, in theory, okay, I'm going to be able to, like, constantly be... If I grind more and play more, I'm going to be able to get better gear, better loot, build my character stronger, beat the next level in the Rift. That'll be exciting because then I'll be another level up. And then I go to the next one, and it's like this, like, cool, and you have the leaderboard. In theory, I think it sounds really good. I don't know, Real Viper. Are people saying that? So, but, like, as soon as it like, comes around and you get into it and all of that stuff, the problem isn't the future so much. The problem is everything in the past instantly becomes trash. Right? Like, it's obsolescence, basically, as you always are getting better, then everything before is always going to be worse. And so it ruins a lot of things. Like, all of that stuff we talked about with itemization, where I'm going to put on, this cool ring for this situation because it's going to give me, slain monsters can rest in peace, and that'll be good for this. But, like, none of that stuff matters anymore because I always have to attain more power if I want to beat the next level, right? Everything becomes an attack and defense stat at that point because all you can do is build power to beat the next level. There's not any way to really change that, right? It's just vertical. The best sort of thing, in my opinion, you could do with it is have it be lateral almost and make it be like skill challenges, right? So you have to, like, fight the next dungeon that has a new new style of monsters in it, new styles of abilities on those monsters, all of those things. And so you're, like, changing how you're playing in each one. Something like that. I don't even think that is the best idea, but what about, like, Borderlands 3 where you get diminishing returns and the Paragon system there? I just don't think that you need to be rewarded in growing strength just by existing in the game, personally.
Fresh meat.
Thank you, Perrin. Appreciate that. Would Clan Wars interest me? I think you could do a lot of fun with Clan Wars. Like, I think that could be awesome, but you would have to really make sure that things are, like, balanced down, kind of. Stocking in the yellows does the cost effect, but stocking in legendaries makes rune with affixes of said legendary, almost transforming legendary into a rune word that borrows the effects from its base. That could be interesting. That's kind of an interesting idea. You'd have to make sure that it doesn't get too strong to where only legendaries are good by doing that, but... Did I see the list of item affixes they have lined up for D4? What? They released that? Where? Can you link me? Pee-wee, they have contemplative progress along the way as you build your character, like gems leveling up. That's true. Yeah, I don't like the Paragon system at all. What about Riker saying he doesn't mind consolidating all damage stats to attacks since certain stats are useless for classes anyways? I don't like it. I mean, I think myself and Riker disagree on a few different things, and that is one that I really dislike. Like, we aren't dumb. Console players aren't dumb. We can handle multi, levels of attack or damages or whatever, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like when you dumb it down that much, it's just we're playing the game. I have attack number. I have defense number. All right, attack greater than defense. Attack wins. Like, stats are are super interesting. Stats and affixes are the most interesting things that exist in my mind. Why do we want to consolidate all of these and just make them, pointless? Green arrow up, red arrow down. Ugh. Thank you, Kix. But the counterpoint is like in WoW, there's a variety of stats, but there's always just a best stat. I mean, I'll go back to my Diablo 2 video. And by the way, ! YouTube, I have an itemization video that's out there. Where I talk more in depth on this stuff. But I'll go back to kind of the example I bring up with all of that, which is hold on, I just lost my spot. I was reading it. Oh yeah, the variety of stats. There are so many affixes that exist in Diablo 2 that are like not a power affix, right? Like, it's not about attack or defense in that sort of way. You have a, attack speed, which is separate. You have, obviously, just your plus to damages, but you have your, like, flat damages, and you have your percent enhanced damages. So, where you're, like, working those in, if you're like all enhanced damage and no flat damage, you're going to have no boost whatsoever. So like a balancing act of that stuff. You have different elemental type damages, which are really important. Finding like a plus to cold damage. So now your hits have a small chill effect to them, a small freeze effect when you hit a monster, slowing the monster down. That's like a really interesting thing, right? Also, when monsters have resistances, having those different damage types on your weapons can be really helpful and useful. Things like cannot be frozen, that's not power. Plus to light radius, that's not power. Magic find and gold find, that's not power. Attack rating so that you're fighting, figuring out your hit calculation. I actually like the attack rating defense stuff that Diablo has. The problem is in Diablo 2 it's so skewed. Like, it's such a bad formula. So it makes it terrible. It needs to be way better, and then you could also make points in dexterity mean a lot more so that you can actually invest points in dexterity, and like just by doing that you're improving your accuracy in a meaningful way. Something like that. So you have to like fix that formula for sure. What about weapon stats? There's no weapon damage and attack per second in D4. Oh, like the DPS on it? I mean, there should be a weapon damage. What do you mean there's not a weapon damage? Oh, it just says attack and defense. Oh, and you guys are talking about consolidating stats, like dexterity and strength into one stat. I don't like that at all. I think you need to make sure you have your attributes as well. Once again, we talked about, and Diablo 2 is not a perfect system by any means. There are definitely better systems. You need to balance them out better, right? So that there is good meaning for each of them. And you can also have cool purposes. So like one thing that exists in Diablo 2, Path of Diablo, this is a mod for Diablo 2. If you have a necromancer and the necromancer has 100 to energy, you get plus 2 additional bone spears on your bone spear skill. Small things like that are like really cool interactions that you would never put into energy before, but now you're like, maybe I will put into energy so I can get that AoE a little bit more. And you also get a little damage from your energy. So maybe they could just do energy equals spell damage, strength equals physical damage, dexterity equals accuracy, and vitality equals life. Obviously, they can be multi-things, so dexterity can also be blocking, strength can also be, some sort of defense toughness thing, right? Vitality can be, right? They can do multi-things for each skill or each stat attribute point. But as long as you give real meaning to each of those attributes, you are creating something that's like worth so much more. That's so much more valuable, in my opinion, because now you're creating real builds. And sure, you can, have pure Vita still at that point, but then you're going to sacrifice a little damage to it, right? So yeah, stat consolidation just kills the game. I mean, I really do. I would hate stat consolidation. I also love that items have stat requirements, because once again, that's another way that you might have to consider building a character if you want to use a specific item. I mean, we can go up here and, there's all sorts of stuff. Like this shield is 156 strength. If I want to have 100 more vitality or something, I totally can. I would take this shield off and I would go run some other shield. Where's my shields at? There. I could go run some other shield. Hey, 75 strength, and that's got some res or, whatever. Here's my lidless. And now I'm playing with more vitality, more life instead, so it's a consideration. It gives the item another consideration piece that you aren't seeing all the time, right? So I think that's, and you could even do the same style of like having some sort of weight, right? What if the amount of points I put in strength equals the amount of weight that my character can carry in gear? So I can adjust my gear in fun ways to minimize the amount that I have to put in strength so that I can wear a certain amount of gear overall. So instead of each item having a specific strength requirement or something, now it's just, this is a heavy shield, but maybe if I wear a light armor, then it's right. I mean, you can do stuff like that. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly item has 156 strength required. There's all sorts of stuff, but you need to have those attributes in the meantime. And especially because I love that attributes across different characters, like in Diablo 2, are going to have fantastic like differences between them. Vitality, 1 point in vitality equals 4 points in life on a barbarian. 1 point in vitality equals 2 points in life on a sorceress. Right? So now vitality means something for different classes. It gives classes more personality, and you're considering a little differently what you're stacking in on a different character. What do I think about them removing the belt and the shoulder slot? They said that they were just removing slots temporarily, and like they were gonna add other slots or do stuff with slots, that it wasn't set in stone. I really don't care if there's a specific slot gone or not. Just as long as in the end the items are meaningful and there's a lot of slots that are different things. I don't care if it's called my shoulder or my calf. Do I think they should? Yeah, I think they should totally make rares good again. Do we really need 15 slots? We need 25 slots. Respec option similar to D2? Yeah, I think a respec option would be great, but I think it should have some purpose. I think a respec is important in something basic like, yeah, toe rings, exactly. Let's say that I want a respec. I go to some, priest, and the priest sucks out a level from my character and grants me a respec, So I drop a level in order to make that respec possible. Or I have to go farm priest sucking out was not a great phrasing. I realized that later. Or I have to go farm, certain bosses and collect certain pieces and put them together for the respec. Or, some sort of regret, like Orb of Regret and Path of Exile. You have to do something to take it off. And I feel like in Grim Dawn, I don't remember what the mechanic was, but I feel like you were able to regret your way out of certain skills and then like adjust them as you were going, but it wasn't just this free thing that you did whenever you wanted, right? Is there a way to make Endgame more skill dependent and not only gear dependent? Yeah, you just have to make skills more important and gear not important. You pay with gold? Okay. It just needs to be weighted against rolling a new character. Yeah, and when you make gear and skills and stats and all of these things like a whole thing. Thank you, Camel.
What if no respects were allowed and you were stuck with that build for all characters of that class permanently?
Oh,
The
God.
only way to change it would be to submit a 1,000-word essay to Blizzard explaining the choices you made and what you have learned from your mistakes.
That seems pretty bad. But yeah, you can make it. You just have to make skills and items important, and you make them so important and so much of like a focus that a respec isn't just a simple thing that you're gonna do, right? The problem is, like in D2, people use the same skills once they get figured out what is best. I mean, I think that's where it falls on the onus of Blizzard and creating new ladders, right? Look at Path of Exile. They shift the meta every league by adjusting how skills function, adding in new talent at whatever, right? Like, obviously, no matter what you come up with, you're never going to come up with the most perfectly balanced game. And I think that that's fine, right? You don't need to have everything amazingly exactly balanced, blah, blah, blah. Like, you just do constant updates. Right, look at like Dota 2. I don't know how many of you guys are Dota 2 fans. There's 19 heroes. Number of heroes in Dota 2.
Appreciate your dedication to a classic game. Enjoy your speed runs too. Thanks for the enjoyable content.
117 currently. Appreciate that. And thank you, Slow Polka, as well. So there's 117 heroes, and then I think they're coming out with 2 more now. So you have 117 heroes in Dota 2. And what do? One, they allow for players to just figure out different strategies, right? So players will play through and they'll figure out, oh, this is a better strategy, this is worse, whatever it is. Thank you, Dan. But additionally, they'll change their stats and their attributes a little bit. And, every now and then they'll do some big shifts. They'll do a big patch. But they basically make sure that each hero is almost always getting used. Now, every patch there is that patch hero or those patch heroes. There's the group of 15, 20, 25 heroes that are just a little bit too good or super strong, and it's great. And then come the next time, they remove some of it, right? Whatever. So they make that character weaker. If it was too strong, they weaken it a little bit. They strengthen another hero. And it's this great rotation where if you look at the top, let's look at like TI winning hero teams. Let's see if there's a graphic. Perfect. So let's go to, right? So these are the heroes that are used from TI1 to TI8. TI is like the ultimate tournament for Dota. Okay. You can see Puck has won twice on that. There's an Earthshaker twice. Ember is on here twice. Crystal Maiden is just the one there. There's a Lich. 2 Nagas. But you can see that it's not like every single time you see Gyrocopter in every single team or something, right? This does only show the last game, but when you look at the overall play of heroes over time and stuff, you see a lot of variance and a lot of difference between strategies, right? That TI3 finals. And you know what's really funny? Io in TI8 or TI3 was a support hero, and Io in TI9 was the main carry. They came up with a super inventive strategy and made that the carry hero. And it was crazy. Thank you, Ant. Appreciate the sub as well. Mwah. And I'm so down. Which is like insane. So, so there's a lot of this stuff. Yeah, it was just like push craziness back there. Regardless.
Fresh meat.
Jump out of that. I think it is ZZB89 as well. So, basically it's just this perfect balance of everything that is not perfect, right? Balance doesn't mean every hero is, or every build or every character is always going to be the perfect character, and no matter what, my paladin is always equal to your Amazon, which is always equal to my sorcerer, right? Like, that's not how it's going to be. This build's going to be a little better. This build's going to be a little worse. This build will be better at something else. Guess the month and year for D4? March of 2022. That's my guess. Right. Perfect imbalance. It's probably a great way to say it. What if the CD only affects the CC of the skill? So you can spam it if you want and have resources, but the CC has a CD, let's say, of 4 seconds, PvE and PvP. That's a lot of acronyms. What if the cooldown only affects the CC of the skill? But this, I don't know if I like that, unless it's like visually a different thing. I just think you have to make the CC different, like don't have something that instantly freezes an AoE of monsters. So let's look at Diablo 2. What else? Let's go to this random game that I just love. But I do think that this is a great place that I can like explain that thought. So I have this skill. Ice Blast is a spammable skill that will freeze. I need you to not kill. Gosh dang it. Are these guys all going to be... Yeah, I think I'm just going to kill all these guys on one shot right now. Dang it. Alright. Well, just know that this skill will freeze a monster on its first blast. Okay? There you go. You can see he's frozen. And he is sitting there frozen. Right? And obviously he's staying frozen a long time because this is a high level skill. But what happens when there's all these monsters coming out at me? Alright, I mean I can sit here and try and freeze everything. Like, obviously my character is super strong and this is like you know, at this point. But, like, that's the way that that's going, right? So it's like, I don't have this crazy AoE. Now, let's say that I go and I use Frost Nova. This is going to slow them, but it is not going to completely freeze them like my first skill. So it's a different kind of CC, right? So Blizzard is going to slow. Glacial Spike is an AoE freeze, but it's a less damage one. This is a higher damage, one only freeze. And even still, Glacial is going to be like this, right? So it's still shooting in a path. It'll just have that freeze overall. Yeah, CC is crowd control, right? So Frost Nova, again, has more AoE. It's just going to be a slower. So things like that are, in my opinion, kind of like a better way to handle that. You don't always have to have that cooldown, whatever it is. You just need to make it so. And also, this doesn't freeze. You'll never freeze another player. You can only slow them. You can't completely freeze them. You can only kind of chill them, right? Though chill is a separate thing. But you can freeze them, but all they do is get slow. And you can't do this to, like, bosses and stuff. So I can never freeze a boss. No, we need to look at the Diablo 4 affix list. Where is that at? List of affixes from the Diablo 4 demo. Is that just that Reddit thread? Is it an official list, or is this just the... Okay. Let's walk through this, because I have not read this at all. Okay. All right. So we can look through the aggregated list from the demo here together. Have another amazing... All right. Blah, blah, blah. Also, panels where devs are showing off items. Okay, so this is they've compiled a whole list. So we already know we only have 2 base stats instead of the usual strength, dex, int, vitality. Oh, energy, vitality is how I think of it. Let's start with the legendary specific affixes. Hit effect. Your attacks have up to X chance to spawn a Hydra that will aid you in combat. See, now I really like that. I thought that was super fun. It's silly. It's just like, that's like the whimsical Diablo that I enjoy, where you just have chances to spawn or to cast or whatever, those sorts of things. I like that. Lightning strikes a nearby enemy, dealing X damage whenever you shapeshift. This one I feel like is too specific. Like, I don't think I want this as an affix. It feels like one that's just going to turn into craziness. I guess it depends how fast you're supposed to be going back and forth between your shape-shifting. I guess that's the real... That feels more like a talent. Sort of thing. But regardless, it could be good. Plus X to your equipped skills. I hope that just turns into skills in the future. And there's not the whole equip thing. If you were to have gear sets ready, best in select gear, which class would you speedrun aside from source? I mean, Assassin's the second fastest. But if you could have, like, teleport Enigma on the character and stuff, you could go faster. Fireball launches 3 projectiles that deal X% of normal damage. Okay, so these are just legendary. That's right. These are the legendary specific ones. Okay, so they're trying to once again see. I don't know if I like these sorts of things being too much on weapons and items. Because when you start doing so much like this, it becomes that gear piece is required in a way, right? Like now, if I ever want to shoot 3 fireball projectiles, I have to wear this ring, this weapon, this armor, you know, as opposed to just having multiple projectile support or whatever on as a support gem, or having it being a talent. Like, I just feel like these are talents. Don't make gear mandatory for a build, in my opinion. Oops. Lightning traps periodically appear around you, dealing X damage after 2 seconds to nearby enemies. Okay, that seems fine as a thing. Makes your character kind of cool in that way, maybe. Upheaval ignites the ground, burning enemies. See, I liked this one a lot. I loved the upheaval. I thought that was a really fun, you know, I could use that weapon, and it just became fire. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's like gear-oriented builds, even in Diablo 2, right? If I want to turn into a wolf and have a wolf build, I have to use the Wolf Howl helm. But like, fireball launches 3 projectiles isn't like a unique build or anything. It's just, you know, fireball is the most standard skill in the game. So you're either saying 3 fireballs, which is so much more damage, and you're required to use this one piece of gear, or we're going to give you all sorts of other ways to also get up to 3 projectiles. But then, is this adding more projectiles? Can you get maxed at that? I don't know, right? I just don't like fireball as a, like, this is a lame modifier. If you want to put a cool, crazy item build modifier on there, make it like, you know, some sort of game altering, build altering item, so that you're building an entire build around it. Weapon mastery skills have an additional charge. That seems kind of fine. Once again, a lot of these I feel like could just be talents still, but okay. Cut to the bone talent activates against enemies that are hit by your shouts instead of stuns. What was cut to the bone? Your shouts instead of stuns. I don't remember that one. Critical strike chance increased by X% against bleed enemies. You know, I really think crit and crit strike and crit multiplier need to be really considered. That might be something that I send over to the devs as like a thing that they really think about. Because I feel like when I think back to Diablo 3 and I think of what every piece of gear I had on and what every single piece of gear everybody told me to go find, was always main stat, crit, crit. Crazy high attack, crit, crit. Right? Like, wasn't everything in the game just find crit, crit? Because whenever you can stack crit and stack crit multiplier, your numbers just scale way too fast. Crit, crit, and percent elemental damage. And then you enchant a gem to put main stat. Gotcha. But yeah, it's like everything is crit.
Fresh meat.
Not more, they fixed it. What are they? So now people don't go for that? Thank you, Zealdrich. Appreciate that. It's still crit stacking. I wish I could look at the leaderboards, but I don't think I can. It said that it was like under construction or like temporarily down. Yeah, crit is just like too good of a modifier just overall. I kind of like the idea of having crit chance, but not crit multiplier. Right? That way, like, you can stack a bunch of gear to get your crit chance up. So maybe you do crit 100% of the time or something, but you're not critting for 900% damage or something ridiculous, right? You just have like a crit chance. You could even cap it 50% or something. Yeah, you just cap your crit and then, you know, allow people to kind of do some crit builds, but not every single thing is always crit, always crazy amounts. So I really hope that they take a look at critical strike and critical chance multipliers and stuff like that, because it just, if you want to keep a game balanced, it just blows it out of proportion.
If crit chance damage is common, it ruins so much of the game.
Yeah.
Every build will want as much crit as it can, it making a lot of ideal gear homogenized across multiple builds.
Yep. It really does. Or you can cap both, you know. You could have both and you could cap both of them, but the cap's got to be low enough that it makes sure that crit doesn't overwhelm the game. That it's not a required stat that every single person has to max out their crit first in their build and then does whatever else sort of thing. You know, make it so like if you want to go a crit build, you're going to be sacrificing a lot of other areas. Something like that. Your shouts generate X fury per second while active. When they're saying shouts, was that like when I went berserk or whatever it was and I shouted for 15 seconds I was untouchable or whatever they called that? Was that the shouts that they're talking about? War cry where it boosted like myself and my allies? Once again, can't that just be like a skill? Like a talent? Where I decide if I want to invest points in Fury regen? I don't know why we're putting all of these things on items. I just feel like that's a better thing that I put skills into. I mean, it's not terrible on an item, but it just feels like a weird item legend. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's two systems competing, and like obviously skills and items are interchangeable in a lot of ways, right? That's how systems should be, with having some interchangeable pieces to them. But this is just such a weird, like, generating Fury regen as a legendary affix. Like, that's like mana regen, which should just be like a basic affix that exists, right? Generic resource regen is just, that's just a normal thing that you put on an item. That should just be a basic affix. That shouldn't be a legendary affix. I don't know, in my opinion. Couldn't everything be on a talent instead of a weapon? Well, I mean, once again, I look back to like uniques in Diablo 2. I'm always a Diablo 2 guy. Yell at me if you want for it. But, you know, like unique items, a lot of them have unique things. This is like you're getting enhanced damage on gloves and crushing blow. Here you're getting like a staff that becomes a weapon and has like cool things like that. Let's jump to like some cooler examples. You know, these are just like the highest magic find that you can find on gloves. So that's like a unique thing about it. And then obviously if we go to like, where's my cat's eye? Oh boy. There it is. Cat's eye amulet. I'm getting faster run walk and increased attack speed in my amulet slot, which is crazy. That's like this super unique, you know, style that I can use to change some builds up. And then you have some build altering things like Wolf Howl, right? Which gives me the ability to transform into a wolf. That's not anything that you would find in a skill tree, in a stat tree. the ability to change into a different class essentially for a duration of time and use some stats with it. So like, you know, but just say most things don't have Fury Regen on them. How is that different? Well, I'm just saying like, you can, like, that's something that goes on like a rare and a magic item, right? Having that mana regen, having whatever. I don't know if I have any good examples in here because these are all like really good, so a lot of them won't have that. But you know, I feel like that's where those are just like, that's like a basic affix. Increased fury per second, gain fury on kill, that sort of stuff. That should just exist on a ring, on gloves, on a weapon, on whatever that I can find. And then I can just wear that. That's one of those decisions that I make if I want that. One reason to stick mana for all classes and mana regen on items would be to enable the option of giving you skills for another class. That's also true. Unless you just say that generic resource, you know, give it a different name, but whenever class picks it up, it has that text for them specifically. So, anyways, yeah, it's only basic if it's a trash stat, though. How is it not a trash stat here, then? Right? Like, I don't know. You can make it good enough. If you're not going to give us the ability to, like, have crazy regen and stuff, then this could be, like, a really cool way to get it. But just, you know, I think just put that on a regular thing. Cast Nova at your teleport location. I think that that's fine on an item. I think you could obviously put this under like the teleport skill if there was like options under teleport, or if you have in the talent tree, this could be a thing. But I also think this one is fine on an item as like a kind of a build altering thing. I don't mind that too much. Teleport moves you to a random location and costs X mana instead of having a cooldown. That's also kind of a transformative, like, legendary. And so I kind of don't mind it there as well. Right? Like, this is something that I don't really want in a talent tree because I don't want to put it in a talent tree and then all of a sudden go, ah, crap. I hate this. And now I'm teleporting randomly everywhere, right? I want this to be like, you know what? For this cool area, I want to put on this item so that I do, you know, I do this. This is Icy Veins. So I think that this is totally fine to be on an item. The biggest issue I have is having a cooldown, but you know, maybe for a teleport skill, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a cooldown. I can maybe get behind that. Teleport grants a barrier that absorbs X% of your maximum life for 15 seconds. But if you're constantly teleporting, let's say you're wearing both of these items, do you just constantly refresh or absorb? I don't know. That'd be interesting. There's something there. It implies teleport has a very long cooldown. It better not be over 15 seconds. Teleport forms a rift in your path that increases your crit strike chance by X%. Ah, there's the crit strike again. And there's also crit strike chance for spells as well. Looks like not just a melee thing. They got to be careful, man. They got to be careful. We can see 5 types of legendaries, from the many single skill specific ones to more universal general ones like master skills and shouts, as well as general class ones, druid, shapeshift. talent-related ones, and finally class agnostic. Considering there will be a whole lot of skills, I tend to believe them when they say we'll have hundreds of legendaries available. I feel like at one point he said we want to have millions of legendaries. I don't think there's actually going to be millions. But maybe he was saying because it'll draw from all of the affixes, which I really hope they don't do. If a legendary is just a better rare, then rares are instantly obsolete. All right. X to max life, that's fine. X% damage reduction, that's fine in moderation. I don't think this should be a general affix. I think that damage reduction does serve itself well, unless you have a good cap on it and it's like a low percent. So you could put it on rings and ammies and things like that, but maybe give it like a 25 to 50% cap. Limited item slots that actually use it, and then maybe some legendaries or uniques that'll bring it into other slots. X% dodge chance, that seems fine. Damage reduction from enemies within melee range, out of melee range. I feel like you should just do magic and non-magic. Like that's kind of a weird thing to. That feels like unnecessary calculation or thought. Because now I'm getting no magic resistance. I guess it's in the form of the other resistances, but no damage reduction. Oh, this is like defense versus missile, I guess. That's still kind of. I was never a huge fan of defense versus missile. I mean, it's fine. It's not. Yeah. It's not like crazy bad. Yeah, I'm pretty indifferent. Fire, cold, light, poison res. The classics. Reduce damage from elites, bosses, and players. Okay, so you're going to have a PvP gear set, I guess. I don't know if I like that. I feel like that needs to go, to be honest. That's World of Warcraft. Straight up right there. Leave it in World of Warcraft. It's happening. Reduce duration of enemy controlling and pairing effects. I kind of like that one. I think that that's fine as long as, once again, you have a cap on it and things like that. If I can just... This is faster hit recovery. Why don't they just call it faster hit recovery? Basically. I mean, I guess it's because it's for control and pairing effects. But, you know, I think that that's fine. Just have a diminishing returns cap or whatever on it so that you can't just never get CC'd. Having played Fender as Hanley Birch for D3, I can see where some of these legendaries would end up. Anything with plus crit would be best in slot for many builds and breed dullness and little depth. Yeah, they need to really get rid of the crit. Yeah, everything is a percent. Do you notice that, you guys? Every single affix, except for X max life, is a percentage so far. You gotta throw some hard values in there, man. Damage reduced by 10. Right? You gotta put some hard values. What's your solution? If you get rid of crit, then hit or haste or something else becomes the best stat. The problem is crit becomes a best stat in an exponential way. I don't care if there's another stat like, you know, attacking a little faster or whatever is like the better thing. It's because percent crit is a exponential scale that ruins every other stat. Hard values cripple scaling. Not always. So like a great example of this is let me go to once again it makes things situational. So let's look at Gladiator's Bane. That's not it. That's it. Gladiator's Bane has 50 to defense, which then gets boosted by enhanced defense. So you can see that having flat things like that is nice. It has attacker takes damage of 20, which is pretty minimal, but a little thing early. But then you see damage reduced by 20 and magic damage reduced by 16. Now, initially you might think, well, Mr. Llama, if I hit you for 1,000 damage, what does 16 damage off of that matter? And you would be correct. You're pretty sure the game modifies by ED before flat stats? No. Unless maybe if they're combined like this.
Join my army of the dead.
I'm pretty sure it's the other way around.
Dear Blizzard devs,
Right.
you seem like people that have trouble opening doors. So it'll make this simple. If you want to not have stupid scaling, stop using the percentages.
Yeah. So this sounds dumb because magic damage reduced by 16, damage reduced by 20 doesn't seem that great. But what actually is good about it is, let's say that Diablo is hitting me with his lightning breath. Lightning breath is a tick damage. It's a damage over time, right? And so it goes hit it like that as the lightning is hitting me. And so each hit of his lightning damage might do 100 damage. And I'm reducing that by 16 every single tick of his hit. So any time that you have a damage that isn't a single damage, but rather a multiple kind of hit damage, some sort of fire burning through you or whatever it is, even a damage over time, you can apply this sort of stuff to it, where that flat only damage reduced by 20 doesn't seem as great, but it has a very good amount of, it has a lot of cases where it is very solid, right? So that's where base things are really nice. And like I also said before, having like adds to defense and then percent enhanced defense is nice, because then you can sit there and add to your base defense a lot and then use a percentage enhancer on it, and great. Now you have, you can play this balance game of those two things. They're not the same stat. If I have 500 enhanced defense, or 500 flat defense and 100% enhanced, versus if I have 250 and 200% enhanced, it's different. So you get to balance and do not complicated math, but basic math. Yeah, you can also have local percentages or global ones, like PoE does a lot of that stuff if you really want. But when every single affix that you have is a percentage multiplier of something, you just get weird, you just get scaling. And yes, always crit is too good. Crit is one that just needs to be gone or capped hard. That's just a flat out thing. Anyways, continuing on. Percent crit strike and crit chance. Once again, cap them or remove them. Like cap them real low too. Like 100% damage. Max. Probably less. X% attack speed. That's fine. As long as, once again, you're diminishing that as you're improving that attack speed, which I think they will. When will I send it to the dev team? I mean, I'm putting it all out there and talking with everyone, and I'll send messages over as well here and there. So it's just a constant conversation. Increased duration of control impairing effects. I think that's fine, to be honest. X% damage. X% physical damage. Okay. X% damage to stun targets, to immobilized targets, to vulnerable targets, to enemies in melee range, to enemies out of melee range, to slowed targets. See, that just feels unnecessary.
Seeing that all the
But
affixes are percentages and no flats, it has me like I'd eye my head out on any kind of hype I might have had for D4.
yeah. That's a lot of different targets, man. You like them? I mean, I definitely think... I'm not saying these are bad. I think you could have these and... you know, make builds around wanting to increase your damage to vulnerable targets, and then you run a build that makes things vulnerable or stuff like that. The problem is these are so specific that it makes, like, where does this show up? Where does percent damage to vulnerable targets show up? If I drop a blue ring and I pick it up and it's percent damage to vulnerable targets, but my build is where I immobilize targets, that stat is now worthless because I prefer to immobilize them instead of make them vulnerable. Like, that's the part that's kind of... I don't like it. I don't like about it, right? Like, I'd rather you just have it be, if it's going to boost damage, just let it boost its damage. This is almost one place that I think simplifying is okay. Like, of all the times that they're saying, I want to simplify, I feel like they're trying to simplify the wrong things. And this is something that you can just simplify. Because this is fine to me, maybe like on a unique item. Right? Like, this unique item is a cool way to boost your damage by 25% to immobilize targets or something.
What is a vulnerable target? Is this like an evil skeleton who just broke up with his
Hey, don't talk about it. He's
girlfriend
vulnerable
and is
right
not at the
now.
bar just looking for anyone to pay attention to
Oh
him?
my god.
Why would you want to do more damage to that poor skeleton?
He's
Bible
vulnerable.
thump.
Vulnerable. So, yeah, so are you like having to re-roll this affix all the time or something? To try and roll it to the one that you want? I mean, this to me feels like when a ring, or let's just say an item in Diablo 3 would drop, and it drops with dexterity, and I really wanted it to have strength. You know? Because, like, it's super, like, important. Like, percent damage is an important stat. And it's a weird one to make, where you can have 7 different affixes where you're only, maybe hitting a couple of them.
Fresh meat.
I feel like you just go here. Just have a enhanced damage, or maybe an enhanced spell damage. And enhanced spell damage is going to be more on caster gear, and physical damage is going to be more like, this is something that, yeah, I don't think that it's wrong to have builds built around these stats and affixes, but I think these affixes need to just be on legendaries. I don't think these affixes need to be on blues and rares and stuff. Yeah, you don't want to allow this on all item spots, because there's so many builds that will get nothing out of a lot of these. Thank you, Doomathon, for the sub. Yeah, it's just weird there. So, okay, let's continue. That's another one. Slowed in against elites. Okay, fire damage, cold damage, lightning damage. Once again, I don't think this should be a percentage. I feel like these should be flats. Like if you can have percentages as well, but that almost feels like something that also needs to be a lot more unique or something. Yeah, it's like griffins, but that's like a unique case where you're kind of putting it in there. I feel like more in general, it should be a flat thing with a percentage increase here and there. Otherwise, once again, you might get too many crazy, 500% fire damage stuff that you're like boosting your spells up too much. I feel like when you start adding so much, like again, if this is going to be on blues and rares and all of this stuff, and these numbers are going to be medium high even, you're going to be able to stack it so much that you're really like overpowering how much effect items have.
Join my army of the dead.
Yeah, you got to be careful
Increased
there.
damage to elites means we are getting the really stupid enrage mechanics back. Aren't we? Oh boy, this is turning into my nightmare.
I don't know the enrage mechanics. Yeah, mostly what we've seen before. Okay, resource management and miscellaneous ones. Cooldown reduction. I've already said how I feel about cooldowns, but if you're gonna have them, I guess have some CDR capabilities. Max mana, max fury. I feel like this should just be max resource, and then it can be the same for all of them. Why isn't there max spirit for a druid as well or something? I don't know. Again, I feel like this should still just be wrapped up in one. So it's just max secondary resource. Percent reduced fury cost, spirit cost, mana cost. Hopefully this is the same idea where it's just percent reduced resource cost. Yeah. Percent movement speed. So many percents. Percent increased movement speed for 6 seconds on elite kill. Okay. Plus X rank to blank. Okay, so that's like plus to skill. Got it. Decent list is very early on development. Okay. Not my favorite list of affixes for sure. I feel like
My army of the dead.
Can't we just go full percent? I for one want percent increased of percent increase of percent increased movement.
right, we can just do that. Not my favorite. I didn't see any life steal or mana steal in there. I didn't see any attributes plus to it, strength, dexterity, energy, vitality. No flat magic, damage reduce, nothing to maximum resistances at all. I didn't see anything about blocking in there. Let's see. Nothing about gold find, magic find, light radius. I don't really care if they remove that. Defense versus missile. I guess they had that in their own form. What else? Just looking at like some different ones here. Yeah, I like the like flat damages, 20 to 65 fire damage. I like that stuff. Freezes target. Cannot be frozen. Half freeze duration. Didn't see anything of that nature in there. No slain monsters rest in peace. Obviously, those are like, indestructible. Those sorts of things cannot have been shown in the demo and be definitely later there and stuff. Yeah, I know. I don't like them moving away from strength, dex, all that stuff. I think they need to just fix that instead. Let's go to like weapons. Bonus to attack rating. Oh yeah, I didn't see attack rating at all in any kind of way. No absorb. I didn't see any of that. Damage against undead. Faster hit recovery, faster cast rate, faster run walk. I'm imagining there'll be faster
Going
run
with
walk.
the multiple percentages would be great for llama if percent of movement is speed and percent of movement speed is acceleration.
Right.
Then do you know
Then
that
you
the
gotta have that, yeah.
percent of movement speed is,
Right.
wait for it, it's called the jerk.
The jerk. That's what it is.
Is this a beautiful mind?
Thank
All these
you.
words. I think the theory of gravity is here somewhere.
It's somewhere
Only
in there.
Matt Damon can solve this equation.
It's somewhere
Where
in there.
are you all hunting?
They didn't even have like a slows target minus target defense. Ignore target defense. I don't know. There's a lot of things there. Knockback. I didn't see a knockback. Obviously, we're just listing Diablo 2 ones right now. There's other affixes that other games have that are also cool things. But I feel like there's a lot of good flat things that are missing, and all the stuff they have is all the percent stuff. Oh yeah, they did have percent movement speed. That's right. Lots of percentages.
Ajax Ultra Triple Action
little
Orange
scary.
Dish Liquid provides a pleasant and powerful cleaning experience
That's
with
right.
a lively scent of oranges while leaving your dishes sparkling clean. This product cuts grease to get dishes clean and spotless.
Yep.
This product also washes away bacteria on hands and fights odor on dishes.
99.9%.
Pure 100.
That's right. Also, I got the new orange scent. Smells delicious. The grocery bag is gone. Why am I spending so much time on Diablo 4 suggestions? Because it's interesting to me, and I want to gather feedback. Because I really care about Diablo 4. How's that? I think that's the best way to put it. I really, 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 really badly want Diablo 4 to be a good game. And
Join my army of the dead.
so
If you are
It's fun
curious
to
to see
think
how
about.
these affixes feel, you can honestly play a max level D3 character and you'll find most of these. Blizzard should know how these affixes will play out in game because this is just D3. Kinda bummed reading this list. Maybe I am being unfair.
let's let me fire this up. All right, let's log out of that and that. Put that away for a second. All right. Everyone's idea of good Diablo 4 is something different. I mean, that's definitely true. And I'm trying to collect good feedback so we can build the best
FPS should
D4
be
that we
capped
can
at
all enjoy.
25 and items should have to FPS, so you can go for an FPS build. 200 IQ.
Smart. What would be the ideal gap between... Oh, hold up. My screen's freaking out. My screens have gone black. Now they're blinking. Oh, thanks, Allstar. Thoughts on the item progression
Join my army of the dead.
in
The
Media
only
XL?
path I see
I
to
do think
making
it's
a
really
good
good.
Diablo game is to make a best-selling ARPG that makes enough money to buy the Diablo IP and then just rename that ARPG Diablo 4.
Yeah. Dude, what just happened to my Diablo 3? It like locked up. Hello? Oh, is it blocked because the firewall is blocking it? Oh gosh, dang it. Ugh. Oh my god. My firewall is blocking Diablo 3. I wanted to fire it up so we can look at the stats, but like my computer, my game, everything is literally locked out. I can't even open my task manager right now. What is happening? My computer is frozen on that screen. I can't. Are you kidding? This is insane. I can't even end the process because I can't get to my task manager because the game is overlaying it on top. And so it's blocking the screen out. D3 is officially a virus. Oh, always on top. There we go. All right, Diablo 3. Kill it.
Your computer is just trying to protect you.
Wow. That was crazy. All right, let's try relaunching it and see how it goes. No, it was laid on top, so I couldn't see anything else. Okay. It's kind of working. All right, there we go. All right, let's capture it. Oh no, I have to go into windowed mode. That's right. All right, let me put it in windowed.
Join my army of the dead.
New patch, whatever.
Percent chance to crit localhost computer on launch.
Game settings. No, I want options, video, windowed full screen. Apply. Okay. Let's thank you, Anti. Let's go over here and grab this screen. What just happened? Oh, windowed full screen, apply. And then I have to accept it. Okay. Game capture, capture Diablo 3. Cool. All right. Sure. Let's play this one. All right. Let's look at some affixes. See, they have some flat things here, but they're so massive.
SC. As a streamer, do you ever feel like you get asked the same questions over and
Yeah, I do sometimes.
over again?
I do. Let's put chat down here. Why is it so off center? What? What's wrong with my character? Plus 153 poison resist.
Please, no. Not Westmar.
So, I mean, they do have, like, intelligence, vitality. There's the crit stuff. Attacks increase your damage by 2,000% for 8 seconds. And then at stacks, each element extends the duration.
Throwback Thursday. Why is there a brown eye behind you still?
Gems are just, like, so boring. Plus intelligence, plus intelligence, plus intelligence, intelligence. 5,000 life per kill, regens life per second. Crit chance, stats. It's like all I see on anything. Intelligence. Health globes and potions grant 24,000 life. Oh my gosh. Crit. Crit chance. Yeah, there's just like no fun mods.
I can't do that here.
Can't do it, sorry.
Tyrael sent me to find you. Malthael has taken the Black Souls. You must come with me.
I will not. People are dying down there. They need my help.
But you and Tyrael need to form a plan. We must find him. It will be done. I
Yeah,
swear.
yeah. Alright.
We're going to die.
Man, I have not remembered.
Still waiting.
She's coming to kill us all.
So, like, D4 looks better than this visually for me. Oh no.
This carnage must end. I have to find a way into the city.
198 million, 215 million damage. These are my low amounts. Open the door. Alright. So, yeah, I got low numbers. You know, it's old and whatever. Yeah, like D4 definitely looks better than this, right?
Need more time.
Can we all agree on that?
Not here.
Oh my god. Kind of jarring how much better it looks.
Stop! Don't go out into the streets.
Yeah.
So many have been killed and the reapers
So-
are everywhere.
Of course. It's what I do.
You know, that's really nice.
Keep moving. I think we lost her.
Sure.
With demon blood must die.
Looks the same? It does not look the same. This is so flashy, man. Man. Alright. But, you know, like, looking at, like, these items, it's just so, they're so uninspiring. Stat, armor. What even is 125 cold res? I don't know.
Not ready yet.
Like, does that mean 125, the first 125 cold damage? Because, like, that doesn't really matter, right? You know? Like, in a game where there's a billion trillion damage being done, what
D3
is
just doesn't have style.
125?
It's all about bright lights and big numbers.
Thank you for stopping. I mean, I felt like we had to go through. Thank you very much. I don't know. Those are the, like, weird questions that I have on that sort of stuff. So, like, I definitely think Diablo 4 looks better than that by far. But, your res can get up to 1500 to 2000. But I'm saying, what is 1500 to 2000?
I thought this way a family-friendly stream in Llama, just casually streaming number love.
That's right. Thanks, Gamble. Okay, and now let's go play the gameplay trailer. So, something happened where my screen is now freaking out. So let's try turning it off and on again and hope that fixes it. Probably won't. So, oh, it did. Cool. All right, so let's pull up the... we want to look up Diablo 4 and just go to the like main thingy. So let's do this. Let's go to facing corner. Properties. So compare what you just saw with this.
Join my army
Oh, wait.
again.
Not that one.
Can we have some Diablo 2 gameplay for some much-needed eye bleach after watching Diablo 3?
This isn't gameplay at all.
Executions. Agony.
There you go. Cereal!
You think me mad, old friend, but I know these dreams. They tell of the future.
So, like, we can all agree that those are not the same thing, right? At this point, some people in here can agree that that looks very different.
Join my army of the dead.
#GET rid of the flash on hit.
Some of chat will not agree. I mean, to me, it looks a lot better. You can say certain things have some similarities, but that looks way better than the flashy cartoon that I just played for 2 minutes. You know? Like, that's gone. The items look exactly the same. I'll agree with you on that. Let's go to YouTube. Let me go to my playthrough video. Okay. Oops.
On what skill we use, it'll instantly switch to that, and it's really, really smooth from the videos we've seen. Something that was like, you can max out every skill on one character. Like, I heard Llama basically like, oh.
Yeah.
So we're a little...
We have our things
ourselves
that
up
we
there.
like and our things that we don't like.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Damage
go.
taken. Okay,
This
so
is
it's
just reading. All right.
Surely.
Yeah, it's
Like,
gonna take.
Look at the shadows.
Oh, that's true on the rocks.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
insane.
that actually
This
looks.
is like so many crazy details.
Like, it
actually
looks
really
good.
I
I like the look of this.
Yeah. Do I run faster with this? Looks a little bit maybe.
I don't like the light up. Now that you guys say it, I see it.
Get 'em.
That to me needs to be removed.
That's
Can you
like
zoom in at all? Or is
I
it-
agree with you guys there.
no zoom right now.
When you're lighting up every time that you're
There is-
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Alright.
doing something.
Experimenting with how many players should play. I think they said they experimented with up to like 20, 30, right?
That was with the world events. I
Yeah.
think they said they want it to be
Like, I think numbers and that
Um,
should just be toggles, but like, why is it lighting up every time I'm hitting
They
it?
said
I
they want
agree.
it to be like 4 players in party or something, and then I have
Alright.
my wrath right there, and then my not that I remember. Yeah,
I want to
where you
see
use all 4 of your
items.
skills. Oh, it wants me to go there. Oh, I
Wait,
want
don't.
to.
Okay, here we go.
Next.
All right.
So like,
That's
this just looks like. I mean, obviously it's a demo. Always remember it's a demo. It's 1080. But these are just uninspiring.
Complete with that. Interesting.
I don't know. Also, like, I can't even see the skin of that armor. Once again, it is a demo. They're not going to focus on making everything right now. But yeah, like these parts probably just got thrown in to get the demo out and all of that stuff. But I really do hope that they change. Wow, he really is fat. Oh man, sorry. He's a thick boy. My goodness. Look at those legs. Look at that like spread on him. That's a big old boy right there. That's a, yeah, thick boy. I don't know. It's just not a very inspiring inventory in the look. But it's a demo, so I'll give them that. The bigger issue I have is attack defense. Like I'm an idiot who understands nothing except 2 basic numbers. What even is 2601 attack? If I have 721 life and deal 2600 attack, what does that even mean? Aren't these things making it more difficult? Right? Like it's just a number that just exists, but it doesn't. Is it attack minus defense? That's too simple. I hope not. Even still, then I would still do 700 damage on the shot. Is that how? Is this my attack rating that's going to be used in a calculation against a defense rating? But then I still want to know what my attack damage numbers are. I still want to know what kind of damages I'm doing. I still want to know what my resistances are.
Join my army of the dead.
He attack, he defend, but most importantly, he THICC, Craigasm,
Most importantly,
Craigasm.
he thick boy. That's right. Thank you, ZCC. Also, Wolf Crier with the host. What up? How you doing, man? Thank you for the Tyrael's host. Huh.
Join my army of the dead.
This is why I am so negative about the game. Besides something involving graphics or the art direction or the lore, can you tell me one single thing about this game that doesn't look problematic?
I think the best part about all of this is that none of this is set in stone.
Gain 50.
And thank you so much, Wolfcrier, with the sub as well. Wow. Mwah. Giant kiss for you. How are you doing, man? How was your stream? What were you doing today? Yeah, it is. Now, none of this is set in stone. They are open to feedback. There is a lot that can be done, a lot that can be changed. And you can change these things much easier than you can change an engine or an entire look of a game or anything like that. Just talking D4 like everyone else. It's the thing to do. But it's very interesting to do, you know? I like it. Thank you, Selenar, as well. Mwah. Kiss for you. So that's why I'm hopeful with it, you know?
Oh no.
What? He just pushed him into the wall. The
That was funny.
inventory leaves a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, here's where I talk about it anyways.
Fresh meat.
Yeah.
This stuff I actually like. Thank you, SRS Sonata. Mwah. You asked for something that I do like. This is one. I like this a lot. Obviously, it's in a very basic form, and I think you need to multiply it out in multiple trees. You just literally put up here tree X, tree Y, tree Z, tree alpha, whatever. And then all of a sudden I have 4 talent trees and they're doing a lot of cool things. And then boom, I got a really interesting talent tree system. And that's where you can put things like, you know, fire projectiles shoot an additional projectile. You put that talent like right here or down here or something. So you're like specking all the way down into something like that. I also really liked how they showed it like moving down. It was cool. I don't know. I thought the talent tree is on point. I think they're doing well there. Is that's Ziz playing. I want to go to me on the sorceress. I think it was the sorceress. Is this her? Where did I do that? Do I actually like the UI? I don't think it's terrible. I think having a movable UI would be the best. It's near the end, yeah. I just don't remember where. You know, I want to go to the part where I'm like trying to die.
What do you mean?
They did a new video where they updated how things are hitting and where things are hitting. Whereas, like, you know,
Was it
early
in here?
Pixel, if
It is. So it is. I'm not getting hit at all.
And that's
Really
Maybe it
good.
is here.
If the blade swings down and I am not in the blade's path,
I
I'm
did
not
like that.
yeah,
I thought that was really good.
whatever, like, just literally is the most basic thing. Oh, games the like I'm moving all of that.
I can mute it. Okay, so it's not that one. Maybe it was this. Maybe I tried to die on this character. Where was that? I had to farm the Blizzard boss. Man, I really don't remember. Was it on the sorceress? Yeah, I was in the dungeon. Was I like here? This seems right. Here we go.
This for you know all of the value that it's worth, and then
right here,
and then do whatever.
For me, like the main reason, I actually.
All right, I'm gonna
would
die.
like,
I want to see myself die.
Yeah. I would actually like the single most important or single most powerful games.
Oh, hold on, I gotta move this. There. So, this is my attempt to die, and remember, this is the demo still, but watch like my movements and everything as well. Just like watch this whole sequence of events.
So let me trade this for
Yeah.
you know all of the value that it's worth, and then do whatever.
For me, like the main reason, I actually
All right, I'm
would
gonna die.
like.
I want to see myself
Okay,
die.
yeah. I would actually like the like single most important or single most powerful games. Or
Wow, these guys
items.
are like super weak. In
I
there.
would like they to be tradable.
This is too weak at the moment.
Oh yeah, they're doing nothing. Wow,
That's
bad.
that's bad.
But
That's
yeah,
pretty bad.
I prefer.
These are level 22s, and I'm a level 20. And it's a demo, so they're trying to make it so you can get through the content. But
Most important or single most powerful game.
I mean, I'm also
these
not
guys are
getting
so
hit.
I would
I'm
like
not
they to
getting
be tradable.
stunned.
This
I'm
is
not
too
getting
weak.
The
Like-
demo was just what their most basic concepts and ideas are, then they need to scrap the whole thing and start over with devs who know how to make an
Hey,
ARPG.
be nice. So like, I really dislike the lack of me getting hit. You know,
Oh yeah, they're doing nothing.
like they literally are swinging through my entire body. I have no recovery animation whatsoever.
Wow.
And now I can
that's
just
bad.
move
That's
whenever I want,
But
as
yeah,
well if I
prefer
wanted to.
when they're tradable because say you're the only one who can kill a boss in hardcore, right?
Right.
Then that item is worth so much,
That's bad. Oh, so you
Oh,
can't
that's
die.
really
okay,
cool.
so you can.
right? Then that item is worth so much.
See, like I just like
Please
got
save
out.
us
I
from
was
D3
surrounded by
itemization.
monsters.
Well, because say you're the only
And then
one
I
who can
just
kill a boss in hardcore,
I'm
right?
surrounded. I'm literally surrounded right now. There is a monster here, 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 here.
Right.
Then that
And then I just run out. No flinch, no nothing.
worth so much.
That's bad. Oh, so you
Oh,
can die.
that's really
That is a really cool death animation though. I gotta say that. So like, thank you, Wendy Waffles, for the 4 months. That is a thing. If you drop the controller, you should probably die. And once again, I will always go back to this is a demo, and they don't want to get people massacred trying to just explore the content for the first time by any means. But I had no player inputs for, let's literally look how long I
And
take my
do
hands off the
whatever.
For me,
keys.
like, the main reason
And I'm
I
not even at
I'm
max health. I'm at 2/3 health.
Die. I want to see myself
Okay,
die.
yeah.
All right. 133.50.
I would actually like the like single most important or single most powerful games. Or
Wow, these guys
items.
are like super weak. In
I
there.
would like they to be tradable.
This is too weak at the moment.
Oh yeah, they're doing nothing. Wow,
That's
bad.
that's bad.
But
That's
yeah,
pretty bad.
I prefer when they're tradable because say you're the only one who can kill a boss in hardcore, right?
Right.
Then that item is worth so much.
As 24 seconds. Starting at 2/3 health. And that to me is a thing. Yeah. I more hate that I never got put into any sort of lock. I never had a hit recovery action, and I was able to walk out of 6 monsters surrounding me. That's more my issue, because damage and all of that, they'll scale up in the real game, I would imagine. My bigger issue comes from the ease of movement.
Army of the dead.
Even in the demo, it should be hard. This is the problem with current Blizz.
So good right now.
They
Especially,
are
like, the
focused
slam
on
looks so
everyone's
cool.
rewarding
Slam looks
experience
cool,
instead of giving
it
players
feels good,
something
the
to conquer.
transition on stuff is
I
fantastic.
beat games I don't have an enriching
Like,
and rewarding
between
player
my
story
werebear
with them
and then my
freaking
wolf form, it's like
millennials.
Dang millennials.
it's
Blood as well
really
looks really cool.
nice. Yeah, the blood. Look at the what's the best word for that? Just like the shine on the blood and stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, I
The
really
way
do
the
love the
lighting
look.
is hitting the blood.
Okay,
you can see the
boomer. Yeah, thanks,
reflections
Camel.
of the light as he like moves back and forth.
Like all the small things they do feels like
That's really
a
nice.
bigger difference in
The
Diablo 3.
sheen. Ooh, good word, man.
Yeah.
The
There's a
sheen.
Scrabble
I feel like-
dictionary word winner of the
I
day.
feel like Diablo 3 all the like fluff stuff and filler stuff feels very static. In
Yeah.
this, it feels part of the world.
Man,
That's
if,
like one of the main
if you
differences.
take off
Yep.
the shiny light every time a monster hits, this game would look really good.
See, Druid feels.
Oh, treasure
Ooh.
goblin.
Come here, you little punk.
That's Zizarin. He's a Path of Exile streamer. Specular highlights. If you took off specular highlights, it would look super good. You know? I didn't even notice the flashy light a ton when I was playing. But now that I see it watching, I think that that's a good point. Yeah, it'd be like actually really immersive there. Nothing else is the lighting, like everything in the game in my opinion looks really good. I mean, we can even go back
It seems
to
to me that Blizzard heard only the most basic complaint about D3, that the graphics were too cartoony, but I don't think Blizzard actually thinks anything is wrong with
Yeah.
D3's game mechanics. I think Blizzard honestly believes D3 was a good game with just the wrong art style.
Hopefully that's not the case. But like look at like the lighting in here. Like I'm actually, this treasure goblin's emitting some light. You've got some like darkness shadows coming over this gate as it teeters off into darkness over here.
Give me that treasure.
Right?
Give me that treasure. All right, we got him.
Like
cornered.
I do think it
Lock
looks
him.
good in
No,
in
no.
those ways.
I think in like movies and stuff, you get one.
Oh boy.
You get one.
You
and
get
it's
one
still
in an
movie.
R-rated
This is a little
movie,
bit
or in
bright,
a movie before
probably.
it becomes R-rated. That's
Yeah.
right. All right, it's PG-13.
For being in a
Support room.
dungeonish area.
Something that I really don't.
Outside, I don't
Empty too, love
mind.
it. That's a fireball.
That's
See, but like good shadows in these areas. Good darkness back here and stuff.
no cooldown, just mana.
All
I
right.
have no mana potion. That's
Wait, what? Do you? There's no mana potion.
the most part. Oh. I
Oh.
was just about to say that. It felt kind of easy to do.
I like that they allow you to not always be center screen in these giant fights, and that they actually like here's my character. So my character is away from, so it's like both of these will remain in the screen. I think that that's interesting.
Never mind.
I don't know, how much I like the world boss
Yeah,
overall. I think it's
having
fine.
Fresh meat. Speed is
I think it's
one
fine.
of the best things that you can
Thank you,
have in
Cam,
the
with the
game.
gift of sub to
Oh,
Freako.
Frostbolt does not use mana at all. Fireball does though, even though it's on right click.
Frost.
I really don't like the whole like Frostbolt is my spell that gains mana, and the other ones cost.
Bolt doesn't use mana.
No.
Interesting.
So I can actually spam this.
That's your spam skill, I guess. Like,
I don't like that part. All right. Yeah, generator spender. I'm not a big fan of generator spender. Some people like it, so I'm not claiming to be the expert. Okay. Oh wow, that went longer than I thought. Let's play some D2. Let's do a speed run. Oops. Keep doing that. Let's do a little speedrunny fun action or something. I'll compile some thoughts, and I'll make kind of like an end game suggestions. I think I'm just gonna run it as suggestions for end game. Like, here's things that chat and me compiled as a list of stuff that we thought would be interesting. Something like that.